be honest, I am
Counter some
not
goals.
entirely certain. So
Is that running? Is that running just now?
Hello and welcome back to Piping Hot. We're here at High Falls Park where Jake is going to be performing today in tandem with the Hochstein Music School. So this will be a special day, it'll be a great opportunity, but we just wanted to take a moment underneath the Kodak building, underneath the lights. So one of the most famous buildings in Rochester probably, and I just want to ask Jake a few questions. So we'll get right into it, here we go. So Jake, first of all, we're playing in the middle of Rochester today, which is obviously beautiful, historic, but it's going to be a bit grey and maybe a little bit wet. If you can see those clouds just above the Kodak building there's grey rolling in.
Always clouds.
So I want to ask, are you prepared to play with the wind and the rain? How have you set up today that you might set up differently on a sunny day, per se?
Great question. And honestly, this isn't bad weather, this is just good Scottish weather, right? So when it's a little colder and a little damper like this, the bagpipes tend to get flatter because there's moisture weighing down the instrument kind of thing. So what we do is we tune the instrument a little bit higher or sharper to compensate. Now, in all honesty, it's probably 65 degrees right now. This is perfect temperature for me because I can work up a sweat and not look too sweaty and terrible, right? But it's not too cold that the bagpipe is not gonna work for us as well. So, the other thing, a little bit of rain is not gonna hurt the bagpipes too much. When it starts raining sideways, the big problem is once it starts to get into the drones and into the chanter and all that stuff, that's when you have a problem. And then you know what we do at that point? We go inside.
On that note, welcome back to Piping Hot, to the second episode.
hello.
we've got plenty of content coming up for you. We've got some great shots of Jake down at High Falls, Jake performing as part of Hochstein's concert down there, and it was beautiful, right? It was beautiful to be down there.
It was gorgeous, yeah.
I loved it. I love the redstone buildings. I love the cobblestone streets.
Agreed.
A bit of that. So it was nice. Yeah, we got some great shots. We had a great time, and the sun was out, but the sun took a while to come out.
Exactly.
So we were talking a little bit about you adjusting your pipes, right? So that was fun to learn about how pipes work and what kind of adjustments you have to make for the weather. So that was a fun part.
So that's how that conversation got started. We dropped in here like, you know, what's up with the tape and all that good stuff. So today, as Cameron said, we were down at High Falls in Rochester. And High Falls is a waterfall. Yes! Remember in the last episode I said we had beaches in Rochester?
It's a beach, we have beaches.
We have waterfalls too, oh my god. It's not a wasteland. So, High Falls is literally in the center of downtown, the Genesee River. It's a really, really cool spot. And Hochstein has been throwing concerts there throughout the summer, and I asked if I could come and play. So I did.
You gate crashed, right?
I gate crashed.
You totally gate crashed.
Oh,
You
yeah.
totally
Oh,
gate
yeah.
crashed it. So
You show up in a kilt, most people will let you do what you want. But it was a pretty overcast day, and they had been thinking that it was going to actually rain that whole day.
Yeah.
So before the concert, the weather was one way, and then as the concert came upon us, naturally the sun burst out and the weather completely changed.
And Cameron took his waterproof off and put it back in the car.
Naturally. So Cameron and I were discussing before the show, you know, how do you prepare the bagpipe for certain kinds of weather and things of this nature. So you will see now, we've got some clips coming up of us at High Falls, down by the waterfall. And you will see at first that the warm-up bits are cloudy and a good Rochester day. And then it goes crazy and becomes a beautiful sunny day. Yeah, almost tropical.
Almost, yeah. So.
For Rochester, I would say indeed so. So anyways, let's take a look at a couple of the clips we had down from High Falls, and we'll see you back here in a second.
Absolutely. I know you mentioned this is probably perfect bagpipe playing weather for you. It's probably perfect bagpiping weather for the instrument in general, as it was invented in this sort of climate.
True.
I just want to say, what would you have done differently today if it had been 95 degrees Fahrenheit, or what's that, about
mid-30s, high
30
30s.
Celsius, yeah.
Yeah, so what would you have done if it was a hot day instead of this, perfect weather?
Absolutely. Short. I would be standing in the shade. In addition to I get hot, the bagpipe also gets hot. So, as much as there is not too much sun right now, I am standing in what would be considered sunshine, because the heat from the sun will make the bagpipes go higher or sharper, like I talked about before, right? But if it's really hot and sunny out already, the bagpipes are already nice and hot and sharp. So I want to kind of cool them down a little bit to bring them to the right pitch. So I would play in the shade. If I had a moisture control system, I might add some moisture into that to make it a little more damp, because heat evaporates things, makes them go sharper. So, but yeah, like I said, great weather today because it's not too cold, not too hot, and you can't see all my sweat stains.
Excellent.
And this is going to be a polka.
Fantastic.
So I think, welcome back. And
Oh, right,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
so-
sure we're doing a podcast here, right?
I think we're actually live. I think we're recording.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm just messing around. Anyway,
Yes.
we're live. Let's
Okay,
go.
right, let's get back to it. What were we talking about? Polka
Yeah.
there. So that was the first piece we played, right?
Yes.
You played. Well, I say we played. You played.
Yeah.
Where that was when we had a bit of high falls crashing in the background. I think from that part.
Yep.
But yeah, we're just talking while we're off air. About polkas and about. I mean, we'd asked why on earth, is there a polka in bagpiping?
Right.
And we scoured and tried to research, and we couldn't pull too much from it. But I mean, I'm gonna pass it over to the Polish guy to talk
Sure.
about that a little bit, right? Because I don't know how to talk about that. But
So there are two main. The tune that I was playing was the Black Watch polka,
Okay.
and there are two big polkas in bagpiping: the Black Watch polka and the Royal Scots polka. You play them back together, and I want you to start counting how many times I say the word polka. All right.
Okay.
So they did those, and they played them. We played them in the 78s and the Frasers back in the day. And from just my light research on them, I don't actually know too much about the tunes themselves, but they seemed to be tunes written during World War I, around there, as the Black Watch and Royal Scots regiments were touring for the war. So we can talk about this more,
We
but
scoured the index.
this is one of the Bibles of bagpipe music, the Scots Guards, and this is a lot of the regimental tunes and such. So they're welcome to so and so, their farewell to here and there, right? So they're writing tunes about everywhere they go, and it seems like these polkas were written there as well. Now, as Cameron had said, the polkas have a very special place in my heart because my last name's Kwiatkowski, and I just like them. They just they mesh with me. They're on brand, as you kind of
You
said.
have a natural draw to the polka. Well,
I
yeah,
do.
and that was kind of what came up. Where again, we're talking off air, we're chatting off air a little bit about some of the work you've been doing with funerals and all this stuff. And he mentioned to me what I was like. It was actually good we weren't shooting because I was laughing for like about 5 minutes straight. I couldn't get a word out. About this guy that came to you and he'd mentioned to you about his family tree a little bit kind of thing, and then you kind of had that personal connection to that too. So I'll let you get.
So I had I played a funeral the other week, and they saw on my my website, like my tune repertoire, they saw the Black Watch polka. And I put it on there almost as just more of a joke for myself, because like, who's gonna request this song?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, this guy does. He's like, can you play the Black Watch polka on top of Amazing Grace?
And he was the first. He was the first.
First,
ever request.
first and only so far. On top of Amazing Grace, of course.
Yeah, always in there.
So I message him back, and I'm just like, does this tune have any particular significance to your family? Someone in the Black Watch? Are you Scottish? Blah 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 blah. And he goes, no. It might have significance after this, but my mother, whom we're burying, was Polish. My father was Scottish. And so I thought, what a great tribute to play a Polish-sounding tune on the bagpipe for my mother. And I just thought, my friend, my last name's Kwiatkowski, so from one Celtic pole to another, I got you.
You could have said, hey, I hear you.
Exactly.
I hear you.
I'm happy to announce too that last week had my first students, taught my first lessons at Hochstein through them. So,
and how many students have you got at the moment?
Two right now.
Fantastic.
Better than one. Better than zero.
Better than one. Better than zero. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's growing. And what kind of ages are they? Like, are they? Like,
sure.
Have you got some young ones, some older ones?
So right now, the two people that I have are older. They're nearing retirement, and I'm finding this is really cool.
Yeah.
A lot of students that I have that are in that age are nearing retirement and thinking, I need something to do for myself.
Right.
Something cool and unique and new.
A journey, something to learn.
And they're hitting up bagpipes because it's fun too, because it's music.
Yeah.
And it's also, I have one of my private students, he's an older gentleman, and he said to me at the beginning, like, I want to play bagpipes because I need a hobby that's going to keep me physically fit.
Yes.
And I'm like,
lung
there
capacity.
you go, brilliant,
Yeah.
exactly.
Lung
Yep.
capacity,
I mean,
march and get around.
Oh yeah, the bagpipe and abs, man, they exist, let me tell you. Under those big
That's
beer
right.
guts, there's rock hard abs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see someone do crunches while playing a bagpipe, right? That'd be impressive.
I've seen it done.
I believe that.
Yeah, but so anyways, most of they're closer to retirement. But of my private students, I have students as young as 8 and as old as I won't say, right?
But
and everything in between.
From just kind of our chats about that, as you've been getting into this new venture of actually being a bagpiping instructor and taking on students, both private lessons and as a faculty member now at a school of music.
Yeah.
What's impressed me with what you've kind of told me, you've chatted about casually and stuff, is just like the range. You know what I mean? Like,
oh right.
You've got people. Just in my lesson on Tuesday, we had there was like a young boy and his dad who came and watched our band Fade Nora at the Renaissance Fair. Was it?
Oh, yeah.
No, Genesee Valley, Genesee Country Museum.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So this kid had seen them playing there, and he'd come along with his dad to come try and learn bagpipes.
Oh, cool.
And the kid must have been about, I think it was 6, maybe 7.
Yeah.
And there's my instructor going through my stuff, and he's going a bit harder on me as well, because he's like, oh yeah, you had 2 hours practice a day, because he's trying to hammer it home to this kid trying to get into it. And that's fascinating me, because there's like really kids at that age looking for like an instrument, a hobby to get involved at that age. And then on the complete end of it, there's older people who are looking for something they're fascinated in, maybe because their grandparents, parents, whatever else,
Sure.
being Scottish or something. But it's different times of your life. People find different gaps for something like this, and often end up biting off this massive thing to chew. and you're either in or you're out. You're either in or and it's interesting to see that.
So I agreed, right? So I just had my first year anniversary as a full-time piper, so that's super exciting. But like you said, I'm teaching people in their 20s and their 30s and their 50s and 60s and men, women, everything in between and all of that. And everyone has a different reason. But there is this one common thread I'm kind of seeing with people, like why they want to play bagpipes. And it sounds silly. That common thread is they don't know.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Yeah. They're just like, I don't know.
I couldn't tell you why.
There's just something about the bagpipe. Like, my 8-year-old has told me this, and my 70-year-old has told me this. Yeah. There's just something about the bagpipe that I really like.
Well, it's like you hear a lot of stuff, especially like nowadays. Like now you got social media, you see people performing and doing things on like TikTok and the mashups of songs and stuff. A lot of the stuff ends up being like brass band or like that kind of like chant and stuff. But people really, I think, for me anyway, I always wanted to be able to just play kind of cool like Scottish folk songs on guitar.
Sure.
It's weird. It's like it's a different feeling playing like something like Green Grow Their Ashes on guitar, or trying to bite off, I don't know, like playing as part of a band where you're playing like Mary's Wedding or one of these kind of like popular songs. It's one thing doing it on the guitar. It's another thing trying to do it on the pipes. So I don't know. It's like a weirder connection to the actual music, if that makes sense.
And there is something about Celtic music that I think transcends different cultures and stuff that speaks to a lot, like hits home, right? So one thing that I thought, because again, I was one of these kids, right? Like I was 3 and 4 years old and just be like, I want to play bagpipes.
And you couldn't tell anybody why.
Right, I don't know why. My last name's Kwiatkowski, no one in my family is really musical, right? So it wasn't like a heritage thing.
Exactly.
And they just made me feel good. So I feel like the droning, the actual hum, think of Gregorian chants, think of the Tibetan monks chanting. I'm serious, straight up though. It's it's like, tapping into this just kind of like music that holds us all together.
Think about the Celts, just with the spiritual kind of connection to that kind of feeling, that kind of stuff with the Celts. That's probably where it came from.
To nature and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I just feel like this hum, and then just on top of that, just kind of like
striking things,
powerful, piercing noise that also doesn't require any electricity, right? It's completely acoustic and done totally by a human being, and it's like a one-person band at the same time.
And we could ask any of your neighbors, probably it's the loudest damn thing in the world. Yeah, man, that's the thing. You don't need electricity. So
exactly.
Amazing,
so to have this just kind of projecting power, that's powered just completely by my set of lungs, is unique.
That transcends eras, that transcends ages. That's cool.
Exactly.
So Jake, I noticed something there as you were preparing to play there.
Yeah.
So that noise that the bag makes when you put it up under your arm, what are you doing there? Are you blowing into the bag as you do that?
Great question. So, what I'm doing right now is getting ready to strike in. Don't overthink anything. We are striking in the sound of the pipe. So, I'm filling the bag with air, and the drones are the first thing to make noise, right? So once they make a wee bit of noise, I know I've got enough air in the bag. There you go. And then, take my hand, enough air. And then when I want to stop playing, I squeeze the bag and let go, so that all the air just stops going to the reeds and they stop making noise.
And now, the bagpipes. They're called bagpipes because there's a bag and pipes come out of it. Don't overthink it, right? So, first of all, we've got the blow stick here.
Which is interesting to me, because I mean, if you look at the chanter as well, right? Like, that's like, it's cutting that in half almost. There's all the finger holes down here, and that's the blow piece up there. So that's like, extended.
Exactly. So we blow in. Bag fills with air. You can just hear those start making a little bit of noise.
Awesome.
So you fill up the bag with air, and then the first thing that's going to make noise are the drones. Remember a few minutes ago I was talking about the drones, that noise that we all tap into? It's the sound that drones hum, and it just stays steady, right? So in each one of these I have a reed. There you go.
Yeah, much bigger reed though, right?
Yep, so these are single reeds. These are the same kinds of reeds that you play on a clarinet or a saxophone.
Okay.
So there's 3 of these in here, and the air in the bag goes 1, 2, 3 up through those 3 drones, and they create hum, that solid steady noise, right? And then this is the chanter.
So there's also a reed in there.
Yep.
Ah.
So this is a double reed, meaning there's 2 pieces of wood together that vibrate and make noise like a bassoon or an oboe.
Oh.
So we are actually playing 4 different reeds at the same time. So we're kind of playing 4 different instruments at the same time because the Scots can't make anything easy.
That's
right?
interesting.
No. Oh,
I
yeah.
did not know that. Okay.
Totally. So this is where the melody happens, right? So be very careful when you put the reeds in. Lord knows I've broken too many. So you fill the bag up with air. And the drones will make noise first because they take less air than the chanter, but you strike it up like you saw me do, the drones come in, and then I blow a little bit harder, then the chanter comes in, right? And then depending on the position of my fingers here, makes different, notes come out of the chanter. That's my melody.
Yeah.
Now, this is the real unique thing about the bagpipe. Our sound doesn't stop. It doesn't quit, right? Because of the bag, my third lung, right? So when I need to take a breath, what I do is I squeeze the bag to maintain air pressure in the bag. So we're trying to trick those 4 different reeds into thinking we never take a breath.
Right.
So that air pressure stays steady.
The third lung.
The third lung, right? So I breathe in, I'm running out of air in my lungs, so I squeeze the bag to mimic myself breathing in, and then once the bag starts to run out of air, I breathe in again. Rinse and repeat. Right. And you just keep doing that over and over and over again.
And I was just saying, why are all the drones tied together at the top? Is that just purely
just to keep them together?
To keep them together as an organizational point?
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise they'd just be falling all over the place.
Yeah,
so they are literally there just to hold them together.
Right, and it's not like it's not to do with like the pitch or anything. It's not like it's like you don't have to have them up and out some way or in order.
Not really. No. So yeah, and then when you want to stop playing, what we do is called cut off. And you just squeeze the bag until making sure that air pressure stays tight, and then just pull your arm off, and everything should stop.
Really? And so then, obviously, what's the zips on the bag for at the bottom?
Aha! So this is a hybrid bag. It is part hide and part synthetic, and so I can open carefully.
Carefully, yes, of course.
So we can open the bags.
As this one was as well.
Yeah, and so right now I don't have anything in here because I just put this on and I'm still playing with it.
Yeah.
But what we can do is we can put moisture control systems in here or water traps because we produce a ton of moisture when we play by blowing.
Yeah.
And some players produce more than others, and I am one of those people. I produce a ton of moisture when I play. So the problem with that is for a little bit, it's okay. But the more moisture you put into the bag, and obviously the bag gets more humid and hotter, and what's in the bag? The reeds, right? So if that environment starts to change, gets hotter and more damp and stuff, like outside, right? You got to deal with the environment outside and inside your bagpipe too.
Yeah.
It'll really affect the sound. So having a moisture system just prevents that from happening because
controls the climate in there.
literally because
taped. Why taped?
So good question. So bagpipes are cool in that we can tune individual notes.
Oh.
So there's a couple ways to tune the chanter itself. So the reed sits in here.
That's like a protective case.
Yeah, exactly. Just a protective case so it doesn't get knocked around. But the reed sits in here, and the dramatic thing we can do is if we pull the whole reed up, see it comes out.
Right.
But if the higher up it sits here, the flatter the sound is going to be. Again, think of a trombone. Always think of a trombone when you're tuning. If it's up here, right? The longer it gets, the lower the sound gets. So it's flatter up here, and I can push the whole reed in. You probably can't see much, but you know, you can sink the whole reed in, and that will sharpen every single note or flatten every single note. It's the same thing for the practice chanter. But what if just one note needs tuning?
Right.
So if I change the reed, I'm going to change the whole thing. So that's why we use tape. So the tape, it's the same concept as the trombone. I'm making the hole longer by putting tape on it, which makes the note flatter.
Right, okay.
So this is a really unique, cool thing for bagpipes, in that we can tune individual notes on the chanter on the fly.
That's fascinating.
Right? So that's why we got tape there.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Was that us? Is that us? Have we arrived at the end? Is that?
I think so.
I think we might have one more piece maybe in here for you to play.
I think you're right.
maybe. I think maybe. So we'll take it over to some of Jake's performance where he is actually standing in the shade. He's vacated it over. But yeah, here's some more excerpts of Jake's performance to round us out. And thank you for tuning in with us again. That was fun. Had a fun chat. I learned a lot for Jake here as always. And
yeah,
I mean, thank you. Thanks for that.
Cheers, brother. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Cheers.
Thanks to you all. Cheers.
Now, I'm going to play a hornpipe for you. This is one of my favorite hornpipes. It is a very Irish tune, written by the leader of the only Irish bagpipe band to win the World Championships ever in 2008. Yes. And it is called The Pumpkin's Fancy. One of my favorite tunes. Thank you.
Cool. Fine.